Rewind here on the Stark Media Team YouTube channel. I'm Drew Sarachman with College Football Hall of Famer Jim Ballard. We are recording from the Stark Media Team studio here in downtown Massillon, right across the street from the new Obi statue. Week 2, a little wild week, not a great week for the Federal League. We'll get into that a little bit. We are going to break down some film this week. We've got about 6 or 7 plays from the Louisville Poland game. We had some people reach out and say, hey, explain the Louisville struggles on offense to us a little bit. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's run down some of these scores from last week that we aren't going to go as in depth with. So it was Sandy Valley getting back in the win column with a 34-15 win over Manchester. Great win for Sandy Valley after that opening week loss to Fairless. East Canton, another tough game to open the season. You know, they lost to Dalton last week. This week they lost to United 55-21. Smithville, the Smithies, really kicked the crap out of my alma mater, unfortunately.
Struggles over at St. Thomas right now.
Yeah, not good right now. 63-0. Minerva shut out 28-0 at Crestwood. Tuslaw also shut out 48-0 to Dalton. Tuslaw with that close game last week, double overtime with Conotton Valley. Hopefully they were able to, build some momentum there in a close game, but they lose 48-0 to Dalton. Northwest, 2-0. Beat Marlington 22-14. We talked about it last week. What a great job by their coaching staff. Just a difficult situations over there. They're trying to figure out who's plugging in at quarterback. Looks like they found an answer. Hats off to them.
Chase Badger, 3 touchdown passes, again, and efficient. Started the first ball game, kind of set the senior down a little bit, kind of trying to get their footing, and all Badger's done has been efficient the first 2 games. And we talked about last week, Drew, the Northwest win last week was one of the surprises. Now they come back, they put another one on the board, and now we're going to get out there and see them take on Louisville Friday. Big game for Coach DeMarco, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That circle has been red and big on that schedule for a long time. He's going to have something to prove. The way he got pushed out of or resigned or fired or whatever you want to call it in Louisville was, had a lot of people scratching their heads a little bit and, thinking the grass was going to be greener. Now there's very little grass being grown at all in the last few years. So Louisville's really got to rebound. And Coach DeMarco's done a great job this year with dealing with what he has in the offseason and has Northwest off to 2-0. Yeah,
and like you said, you and TJ Downing will have Louisville at Northwest down in Canal Fulton Friday night on 99.7 FM. So, Louisville with some things they got to fix. Their defense has been playing well. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Alliance gets back on track like we knew they would. A very talented team. 55-28 win over Niles through 2 games now. Running back Caden Davis, who I really like. I love the way he runs. He's a north and south runner. He's violent. I really like Caden.
Yards after contact, complete back.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Todd Sibley a little bit when I used to, who I coached at Hoban. Averaging 135 yards a game. He's got 4 touchdowns. And quarterback Brandon Zerbrug, he's 28 of 35 passing through 2 weeks. Jim, when you watch him play, what stands out about his ability?
All of it. to get more specific, I mean, you were talking about the great run game, Drew, that with Caden Davis that they have. All Zerbrug does when you line Caden Davis up next to him, I mean, he has the ability to run RPOs. He has the ability to run zone reads. He's qualified for, I believe, the 400 hurdles. A couple different events in track and field. He's another running back. He has an unbelievable gear. We did the first game of the year when Alliance took on Lake. I came away so impressed. I've worked with him a few times over the years. His dad, the stock that he has, his dad was a quarterback at Michigan. He is just so poised. He has a great handle on the offense. Coach Goody over there has done a great job of putting him in situations to be successful. He's a guy that can hurt you just dropping back, sticking the foot in the ground and throwing. He can hurt you with the RPO game because Caden Davis is so good. So the linebacker's got to respect the run, and then he'll stick that foot in the ground over the top and then throw the short game. And then if you want him to run, he'll take those steps back. And when he decides to run, he has another gear as a quarterback that most guys don't have. He stretches the field vertically with his arm, but he also stretches it from sideline to sideline with his ability to run and extend plays, making great decisions right now, not turning the ball over. 28 for 35.
Yeah, 28-35.
That's pretty good. That's surgeon-like, the way that he's completing passes at that percentage.
Yeah, just really good stuff from him. As we move on in the EBC now, West Branch 43-13 win over an athletic Woodridge team. Drew DeShields gets his words to go 2-0. He had 350 total yards.
1-1. They got beat by
4
Canfield.
touchdowns.
That
1-1. That's right.
Week 1 was a shootout.
You're right.
With Brock Lowry, two of the top quarterbacks in the state of Ohio, both Division I guys. They almost came away with the win, but West Branch did bounce back. I've seen the West Branch team. I broke down the film with Brock Lowry after the first week. I also work with Charlie Lambus at Ballard Quarterback Academy at Woodridge. He's a 6'3" kid, has the ability to slide his arm in different positions and make throws. I thought that Woodridge would be a lot closer. Last year they played, I believe it was 21-21 before Lambus went down for an injury, and then Drew DeShields took over. But Drew's done a great job of doing whatever he wants to do. Essentially, he's another guy that can extend plays. He's athletic. He comes from a great family. His older brother went to Akron U on a scholarship and played there as quarterback also. And Drew has it rolling right now. They're a good football team, and they graduated quite a few players from last year, some of the skill positions. So some of these young receivers are going to start, really cementing themselves as go-to guys and having more abilities to make plays with what Drew can do. Yeah,
the EBC, they've got a lot of talented teams in that. Another one that we talk about, Carrollton, 14-7 winners over Philo. Coach Jim Salimas, has a state championship in his pocket himself from back in 1995 at Lisbon. They're 2-0. Coach Johnson up at Salem wins again, 40-27 over Beaver Local.
Spent a lot of time there over the summer. Drew, Ballard Quarterback Academy, ended up doing a lot of lessons because all the guys in the Youngstown area. Coach Johnson was kind enough to open up his facility for him. He had a chance to work with Jackson. What an underrated player. I mean, if you can say underrated, because he's only 6 foot, and guys are questioning whether the guy can play. All this kid does is call 65 or 70% of the offense, and he's been doing this since his sophomore year.
Yeah.
He's a guy with a high IQ. His dad's obviously the coach. I spent, like I said, a bunch of time. He had a lot of receivers out there because they graduated quite a few. The one kid, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's walking on at Ohio State, had a big year last year, so they're replacing him. But Jackson Johnson behind center is always a threat to get it done and put up big points any Friday night.
Yeah, their offense has been really impressive the last 2 years. Really cool place to watch a game too if you've never been up to Salem. It's kind of an old school look with the school right in the school building right in the one end zone. So EBC, obviously Canton South moves out of the EBC into the pack this year, but they're looking strong. Some teams that really probably 3 or 4 teams that could win the EBC. Going forward, what games are you looking forward to in the EBC?
I like Carrollton and Salem, and of course the big one to me, the 2 quarterbacks. I mean, it could be 2 different games. Anytime Salem's lining up, I like the matchup. Then you talk about matching up against Drew DeShields and what he does. Talk about watching 2 offensive guys just go at it. It's great quarterbacks going at it. Poochie Snyder, of course, Canton South going against Drew DeShields at West Branch.
Yeah.
I mean, all those games with those kind of quarterbacks, it could be Drew like an Arena League game. Yeah. Whoever has the ball last. Could be a 55-48 game, but those teams can put points up and they can do it in a hurry.
Yeah, Poochie and them went after it last year. Obviously, they're not going to match up this year unless in the playoffs.
That's because they left the league. I apologize. But
no worries. But who do you like to win that? I mean, I like Alliance. I mean, I think they have Division I talent. I think they are really tough up front. They've got athleticism in the defensive backfield to match up with some of these quarterbacks. I can't wait to go watch Alliance at Carrollton in a couple weeks. I think it's a game that we're going to be doing eventually. But who do you like to win the EBC?
I think it's hard to say right now after 2 weeks. There's you got guys with quarterbacks, like a Zerbrug, like a Johnson,
Drew DeShields.
Drew DeShields. I mean, you got 3 guys that can dominate a ball game. I think it's going to come down to defense, obviously, in the big 3. How many penalties do you have? How many turnovers do you have? Penalties at key times, taking care of the special teams, those kind of things. I think it's going to be a complete team win because a lot of these teams are so evenly matched with the skill positions on offense.
Yeah, real exciting football coming up in the EBC. Still got a couple weeks till they get into their league schedule, since they are only a 6-team league now. That's a conversation for another week. I think Louisville will be a great fit back in the EBC now.
They
with
really
the way
need to get back into a league.
things have changed.
And it's so hard to, and you know, Drew, as a former head coach, when you fall out of a league and you were so successful for so long, a lot of teams don't want to play you.
Yeah.
And they've already got their league schedule, so now they're only looking for maybe 1 or 2 non-league games, and it's hard to find that. And Louisville has had
as an independent, I mean,
it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough to schedule. I mean, my opinion, you know, I don't know all the details of what went down there. You know, I don't know what superintendents and principals talk about. But from an outsider standpoint, for those schools to leave the MBC, have Louisville stay there and create the EBC, it's just really soft. You want your kids to play against the best competition, because in life, do you get to eliminate the better competition? No, you got to go after it.
And this just happened at Division III in the Minnesota Conference. They kicked St. Thomas out. Because St. Thomas overcame what St. John's had done for so long, so they pushed them out of the league.
Yeah.
And all they're doing now is I believe they're going Division I now. But to your point, you want the best teams in there. And Louisville had a run where they dominated for a really long time. Mm-hmm. Mount Union has dominated the OAC for a really long time. That league has been a really good league for a long time until it wasn't. But just get better.
Yeah.
If you don't want to see the same team win every year, figure out what they're doing.
It's soft.
And beat them.
Yep. Yeah, a great example of that. When Boardman and Fitch came into the Federal League back in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, Boardman was bad in football. They were winning like 1 game, no games during the year. DJ Ogilvy, who's now at United after a stint in Florida, came in and said, hey, our circumstances aren't going to change. We're playing in the Federal League, so we have to get better. They made the weight room important. You know, they made it important to keep their kids in the district, you know, and they became really good. Put a lot of big studs into Division I football out of Boardman, you know, were competitive to win the league. It could be done. You just have to accept the challenge and say, hey, that's where we want to be. They're our example. You got to look forward to playing those teams every year.
And the bottom line is this. With the way that schools are anymore, with how good Catholic schools are, if you're a head football coach at a public school and you're not going down to the youth program and spending time with your youth coaches and being a face to work, you know, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids know who you are, then you can't expect a kid to, once he gets to 8th grade, to come into your weight room for the first time, shake his hand, and expect him to want to play. You got to be down there.
Yeah.
To me, if you look at the programs, I mean, I'm talking about like back in the day in the 80s with Green, the Cappers ran their Pee Wee program to a T. Everybody ran the same defense. You ran the base defense here. You get a little bit older, you implement a little bit more. Then all of a sudden you get these kids to the high school who have been in the same system forever. Mogador's another example of that, where they've done that. You got to spend time down there, because if you're not, there's other coaches out there that are going to come in and start talking to these kids. It's just the way that it is.
And that's what Louisville did. That's why Louisville was so successful, is they had a great youth program. When Coach Farrer was there, when DeMarco was there, you know, they have a great youth program. I know they have a good youth program now still. You know, maybe the numbers have gone down a little bit overall in the district, but that's how you get to the point where Louisville was. It's by hard work. So, yeah, we could talk about that another week, but Louisville, I'd love to see them get back in the EBC. As we move on to another school now, another independent, Canton Central Catholic goes down to Norwayne. Norwayne's always a talented team. I know their coach Indorf, pretty well. Known him for a long time.
Chance does a great job too.
Yeah. You know, so Norwayne's a tough place to play. Central goes down and takes care of business. What they need to do, because that's a team in their division, you know, they might even be in their region there, that's going to help come the end of the year playoff time. And Central, you know, with the tough schedule they have, they need to beat the teams that are their size. Jack Talkington, 160 rushing yards, 150 yards passing, bunch of tackles on defense, ran in the game-winning 2-point conversion with 32 seconds to go. You know, he's really playing well for them. The only thing for Central they've got to fix, they've given up 86 points in the first 2 weeks of the season. You've got to get better than that. They've got to find some ways on defense to stop some people. And then as with Jack Talkington on offense and their big playability out of their receivers, I think they can make a run in the playoffs going on. But they've got to find a way in the next couple of weeks to fix that defense.
Yeah, I love breaking. If I broke film down with Jack after the first week 1 loss to Perry, you're going to break this Norway game down. But whenever he's healthy and he has the ability to do what he does, and that is run and also throw, and then he gets it done on defense. He's a kid to me that we were talking about preseason Stark County Player of the Year, quite possibly, depending on if he stays healthy and keeps doing the things that he's doing. Worked with him at Ballard Quarterback Academy for 3 years now. He's experienced. He's extremely confident. He's got some receivers now that he's able to work with a little bit more experience. Starting to get a little bit more creative on offense, a little bit with Coach Lyndon Smith as opposed to jet sweep, Q counter, doing some different things, getting some different wrinkles out there. But you're right, Drew. We can do whatever we want on offense, but sooner or later we got to get some stops.
Got to stop somebody.
Got to get some stops, and they got to shore that up on defense. And I'm sure they're still figuring things out a little bit. We're only 2 weeks in, but a great win out of Norway.
Absolutely.
To take this momentum into week 3.
Yeah, like we said last week, it's a lot easier to fix things after a win. A lot more fun to fix things after a win. So, one more game before we take a quick break that we'll talk about. Fairless stays in the win column again. 40-7 victory over Tusky Valley. Great for Coach AJ Sarbaugh. I think in a couple weeks, Jeff Tyler and myself on the YouTube stream are going to get down to Fairless for a game. And this is one thing I want to say, because I've seen the picture in the newspaper twice now. The Fairless all-white uniforms are my favorite uniforms in Stark County right now.
Crispy.
Very crispy. They've got
All
the silver and blue on the shoulders, the flying F with the silver and blue stripe on the white helmet. Just awesome uniforms right now.
All they need is the white shoes like Reno Hightower.
Yeah. So yeah, hey, hats off to the maintenance or equipment staff at Fairless for picking those
uniforms.
Awesome uniforms, and
Killing it.
They're 2-0. It's a great feeling.
Look good, feel good,
play good. Absolutely. There you go. Absolutely. Quick break. We're going to take a quick break here from one of our sponsors. Ben Wallenberg Chocolates in the Fulton Drugs Plaza at the corner of 25th and Harrison. Fresh candy made weekly, gourmet candies, peanut brittle, fresh roasted nuts. The way they roast their nuts are different than anyone else. You have to go in and try them. He's got specials all the time, on nuts, cashews, those types of things. Holiday orders, it's great. Get your holiday orders in. It's a great gift. He'll ship them anywhere in the country. Make sure they get there safe. Like I said, right across from Stadium Park, Ben Wallenberg's Chocolates. Give them a visit. I eat them all the time. My wife gets mad at me because I leave the little wrappers all over the house from the candy. She loves his creams as well. So get in and visit Ben Wallenberg's Chocolates.
Spirit of Stark embodies the pride that each community in our county has for their local schools and teams. That's why when it's time to find the best in custom apparel, look no further than Spirit of Stark, located at 409 Erie Street North. Custom embroidery offered on almost any type of garments, from shirts and jackets to hats, pants, and shorts. Their state-of-the-art equipment allows Spirit of Stark to fulfill any order, big or small. You name it, they can do it. Want to look your best heading back to school this fall? Contact Spirit of Stark at 330-806-6745. We can't wait to hear from you.
All right, we are going to talk about the Louisville-Poland game that Jeff Tyler and I had an opportunity to do on the Stark Media YouTube stream last week. Louisville 0-2 to start the season. Really tough schedule. Went down, lost 21-0 to Steubenville week 1.
Always a tough place to win and play.
Yeah. Week 2, hosting Poland at home. Louisville in this game looked really good on defense. Jacob Davide at linebacker is a really good player. Shane Gates, defensive tackle, played unreal until a lower leg injury. Hopefully he's back this week. But Louisville on defense looks really good. On the other side of the ball on offense, it's been a struggle. We've had people reach out to us, say, hey, can you break down what's going on offense for Louisville? So that's what we're going to do. And as we do these things throughout the year, we just want everyone to know we have a ton of respect for the coaches that run these programs. Not an easy job to do. You have different kids, different years with different skill sets.
Different philosophies.
Yeah, that you have to try to fit in. So when we do this, we're not jumping up and down on a coach and saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's not our point. we had, like we said, this is going to be an interactive show. People were asking us, what's going on at Louisville? Why can't they score? They had 6 turnovers this week, 100 yards total offense the week before. Well, the turnover thing's simple. You got to hold on to the football. 5 fumbles, 1 interception. The interception was kind of tough. I like Davion Cruz at quarterback. He's a little bit undersized guy, really athletic. I think he can do some things for Louisville. And I think this is why they kind of went to this option offense that they're doing. I don't know if it's a true triple option where they're letting him decide every single play.
Where he's reading the fullback on the give, come down the line. I can either attack the end, keep the ball, and then pitch it out.
It doesn't appear that way. It appears that they're kind of calling, hey, this time we're going to run the option. This time we're going to run the dive. So we're going to dive into this a little bit, what they're doing on offense. Go down to the film. We've got about 6 or 7 plays I'm going to roll through and just kind of show you what's going on there. So to set the stage for you, this is the second drive of the game for Louisville. They had fumbled on their first drive. They get the ball back after stopping Poland. They're in the pistol. So his feet are at 3 yards from the ball, 2 yards behind the heels of the center. We've got a 5'7" quarterback in Davion Cruz. Not a ton of size, close to the line of scrimmage.
Maybe a $145, maybe a $150.
Yeah, but he is. But he's a very athletic kid. I think he's a very smart kid. He's tough. Typically when I coached him at St. Thomas. He played some defensive back for us as a freshman, sophomore when he was there. So when you're teaching your quarterbacks in a normal shotgun, Jim, what's the depth that you like to have them at?
It varies. From coach to coach, as you know, some guys prefer 4.5. Some guys, heels at 5. Then you can go down to 77 a little bit down to Medina. They got their quarterback like a 6.5 and 7. They just widen it out. It just depends on the philosophies and the offense that you're running. To me, with a guy like Cruz who is 5'7", 145 pounds. That doesn't give him a lot of time to read on that option. Not to mention he's not very big to start with, so I think you're kind of putting him in a little bit of a disadvantage having him in the pistol. I would back him up because he is, number one, he's very quick. And by backing the quarterback up and the tailback up, you got a little bit more time to read or force the end if you are running the option to make a decision one way or another. When I look at this play, first and foremost right now, Drew, you're going to run the option. The ball is left middle. I'd like to see that outside X receiver more to the bottom of the number.
Better spacing right here.
Spread that corner out, move out number 2, see that the linebacker that's in between them. We can push him out of the box a little bit more. Again, giving Davion more time to read and to be able to make a good decision with football.
Yeah, and the tailback's at 5 yards. I understand they want that dive to hit quick. So the linebackers don't have time to react. What I saw throughout the game is Louisville really struggled to get to the second level on run plays. These linebackers were unblocked much of the game. So just from a pre-snap standpoint, they're going to run the option here. They're going to run it to the trips. And we've got at least 4 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, that we're going to have to block. Okay, well, that we're going to have to account for. This is going to be our option man on the end line here. We're going to have to take care of this guy, and this guy right here. Now, this inside linebacker, he's in the backside A-gap, so he can make the play as well. So we're going to roll the play here and see what happens. So the first thing I notice is Louisville's going laterally down the line. When they're running the option, you need to get into the line of scrimmage a little bit more to make that person we're reading here commit one way or another. The pitch happens too quick. This guy's able to redirect. One thing I'll notice also on this is pre-snap as we're lining up, we talked about we've got to be able to block these 2 guys right here. So you've got 2 receivers close. Spacing's not great. So we've got to find a way to block these 2 guys. What I would do, I would probably kick out this flat defender with this inside receiver here and then crack kind of position box.
Get in there, throw the hands up.
Yeah,
box
get in there.
Out,
Box him out this guy so we can read this guy and find a little alley here. So Louisville starts running the option. First thing, like we said, running laterally doesn't help because sometimes if you're running laterally straight down the line, once you get to that defensive end, he you're going to run into him. He hasn't committed to you, and he can redirect and go after the ball carrier.
All you do, if you're a quarterback and you run parallel, if you run parallel here, then the end's going to run parallel, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like when we throw the ball on the run. You have to get downhill into
the
the line of scrimmage,
attack that man,
and force the defensive end to either knock you down, and then you'll pitch it, or if he widens a little bit and he shows me the shoulders, then I flip it out. You got to have, the other key part of this play is, Drew, you got to have good spacing between the quarterback and the option man.
Yep.
If the spacing is too tight, then the end can play the quarterback and still have enough time to either get a hand on the pitch or be able to run the rail. Got to get downhill, got to have good spacing with the tailback.
Yep. So we'll let it roll here. Like I said, a little early pitch. There's your option man right there making the tackle. You have to attack him in the option or that play isn't going to work. Also, the two guys that we pointed out that needs to be taken care of by the receivers were not taken care of as well. Another play will roll up here a little bit further into the game. All right, Louisville's got the ball in their own 20. Again, here we've got trips. Spacing, still. We got to get this receiver out here, at least splitting the difference.
The ball's on the right hash, and the outside receiver's on the left hash. This is awful spacing.
Need to get better spacing. You're bringing everyone from Louisville into a position that they can make a play here.
But yeah, by the Louisville guys being tight, if X is tight, then the two slot receiver is going to be tighter. And if two slot receiver is tight, then number 3 is going to be tight. So as you said, Drew, when the splits aren't wide and you're not stretching the field horizontally, you're telling the defense basically they don't have to really guard outside of the hash.
Yep.
If they're running the option here, if they're running the ball, the corner's going to stay outside leverage and he's going to force it back inside. And because the split isn't wide, the inside guys, the linebackers and the DN and the safety can come down and make the tackle pretty quickly.
So let's run a play here. So we've got our motion. We run the dive. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if Louisville's actually reading or just calling the dive or calling the option. It appears that's a straight dive play here. But one thing I want you guys to take notice of, when you're running this dive, you know, we're not getting anyone to the second level. So Andrew Essick runs the ball really hard here. You know, he's doing it, you know, from 5 yards deep. He ran hard all night, but we're not touching any of these linebackers. They're making contact. He does a great job to fight for 4 yards. But as you can see, that backside linebacker comes down, lays the wood right at about 1 yard.
Yards after contact to push forward.
Great job by Andrew Essick there. But the Louisville offensive line, if they're going to get this running game going, they're going to have to find a way to get to the second level. Now, you know, that's their dive there. They're focused on getting movement on the double teams. I understand that. But, you know, to let linebackers just tee off on your running backs is not going to be a good thing for you going forward. So we'll roll to the next play here. All right, so we're in 2x2 set here. Again, I think the spacing's a little tight for my liking.
Way tight. The ball's on the hash. Widen out. All you're doing is shrinking the field. And if you do go to throw the ball here, all you're doing is taking a passing window that should be this big, and because the splits are tighter, now you're making it this big.
Well, now you're also bringing this person who's in the slot and forces everything to happen a little bit faster, and he's in the running game. So Louisville's going to run a motion here.
So if you compound this by having your split too tight and your quarterback only being at 3 yards, so not only is it going to hit quicker because the splits are too tight, but it's going to hit quicker anyways, regardless, because the quarterback's at 3 yards. So now you're really making it harder than it has to be for the quarterback with the bad splits.
Yeah. So this is a 3rd and long call. It's 3rd down and 6. They're going to run the motion behind it. And the one thing I don't like about this is, you know, you can do this when you're under center and run a slot motion or a wing in motion to run the option to. But now, at the snap of the ball, he is at 7 yards. with his shoulders pointing to the sideline. He's not yet coming downhill. So when he's getting the pitch, he's got 4 yards to go even to get back to the line of scrimmage. It's really tough. So again, the defensive end, all right, he's on him. He's got to make the pitch. The line of scrimmage is right here, okay? He's getting that ball 7 yards deep and having to get back to the line of scrimmage 7 yards and then another 6 for the first down. It's just really tough to do.
Again, 33 is so tight because of the split by number 3. So he does a good job.
Here's our option, man. But then here's the defense's answer for the pitch. He's too close. You have to do something with him as a receiver. It's really tough to ask a receiver to block a kid, a linebacker, on your inside. Okay? You're either going to have to pin him and push him down inside and make that go outside. But, you're giving up about probably 20 pounds here.
He does a great job of maintaining outside leverage. He runs the rail a little bit, slides down, turns it back inside, and again, because the splits weren't very wide, the inside linebacker, the DN, can all rally to the ball quicker than they should be able to.
Yeah, we'll move on a little bit further into the game now.
Just like when we pass the ball, which we love to do. This is real hard for me to watch as a quarterback. Not just kidding, but because I'm a throwing guy, I couldn't run this kind of offense. But even when you're running the football, just like when you pass the football, you have to space the field. You have to spread the defense out. Make them cover, from sideline to sideline. Don't shrink the defense down because your splits are too tight. It makes it tough for the running back, and when you do go to throw the ball, as I said, it makes it that much harder to throw the ball because the windows that we're throwing into should be bigger than what they are. Yeah, and you've got a quarterback who's 5'7". He's not a Drew Aller, who's 6'4", 225 that can just sit back and rope it. He doesn't have that kind of arm strength, so you're going to limit him a little bit more by having him, make throws into smaller windows.
Yep. Here's another example. Ball's inside the hash now, and your furthest receiver in the trips is on the hash. Another tough spacing. You're going to run the dive again, which is good. I mean, Andrew Essick's a tough runner, really tough runner. All right, we're going to run straight to the next play here. And this next play is going to show you an example of why it's tough for a 5'7" quarterback to complete passes 2 yards behind the heels of the center. He can't see. He's got to scramble. He's so close. He's close to the line of scrimmage, so he's taking a one-step drop from 3 yards, trying to see the whole field. You're so close to the line of scrimmage, the windows are shorter. There's not as many windows, and you've got these guys right in your face. So he feels the rush faster, it gets there faster, and he's got to scramble. So we'll play this back again. It's really tough to ask, like you said, a 5'7" quarterback to make throws from the pocket right out of the pistol. If you're going to do it, you've got to get him on a 3-step drop out of there.
Stretch. Pause it. Rewind over just a little bit. Watch his first step. So from what I understand in this kind of offense, there's really no drop. Right, pause it right. Not there. He takes a false step with his left foot. It's about 6 inches. So you take one step. His right foot is still pointing straight back. So right away, the quarterback's weight, he's off balance just a little bit. If you're going to step back, you at least got to pivot on that left foot and stretch the drop to at least give the receivers time to get down the field. If you're taking a one-step drop on a 10-yard 10-yard route, you're asking your quarterback to try and, bounce his feet and to time it up, and which is really uncomfortable for a quarterback, and it's really difficult to do. He takes a couple more steps. Because that first step was so short, his crossover 2-3, there's no stretch and no distance away from the center.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you're not running an aggressive pass pro where you're
Yep.
cutting guys on 30s or whatever you want to call it, the quick game. So these offensive linemen are given ground. So you got a quarterback who's at 3 yards to start. You got an offensive lineman that's given ground. You take a false step and a baby step here on your first step. Then you shorten your second and third. So not only do you get maybe 1.5 yards in your drop, but you've got an offensive line that's given ground.
Yep.
So to your point, 5'7", big offensive line, having a hard time to see.
He needs
so
to be
he's
back
going to
here.
feel the need to push and roll out of the pocket.
Exactly. And there he is scramble, and he's athletic.
He's
when
quick.
when he scrambles, he can hurt you. And he did a good job as this game went along when he did scramble, keeping his eyes downfield. Right before halftime, Louisville hits a big play. Unfortunately, it was called back by a crappy penalty call, which I didn't agree with at all. That he escaped the pocket, he found a receiver all the way downfield. It was a 38-yard gain, and they were going to be first and goal with 50 seconds to go in the game.
Still got a chance.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard. It's hard to run an offense as a quarterback when you're just expected, if you can't see, to just run around kind of like Manziel did until, and he's athletic enough to do. He's quick. He's got a nice arm when he has time to throw and when he can see.
Chris McCready's and his team at Finally Hear Hearing Aid Center in Canton offer up over 30 years of experience for their customers who are hearing impaired. Head over to their website at finallyhearohio.com and schedule your free hearing aid test and evaluation today. They're a best of the best award-winning company that prides themselves on customer service. Stop down and see them at 1201 30th Street Northwest or contact them at 492-1212 for an appointment. And thank you for sponsoring Stark Media's finallyhearohio.com Player of the Game.
All right, Jim, we're going to finish up the show. We're going to go through a little Federal League here, but one more score, another small school, Stark County area. Malvern moves to 2-0 with a 21-20 win over Conotton Valley. Her quarterback, Jarrett Withrow, might have been a little banged up for Malvern there, so we send our best to him. Hopefully he's well enough to continue the rest of the season. But nice to see Malvern start off 2-0. They've got Waterloo, I believe, this week, which
Trying to find a way to win,
Yeah,
man.
just
Awful
try to
tough
keep
especially
finding a way to
small
win.
schools. Drew.
you can't lose anybody.
It's so hard, and then you lose your quarterback. The backup stepping in and doing a good job. It's hard. It's harder to be in the backup than the starter. You don't get those reps, and good for him settling in and getting them a win. And
Yeah, we really like Coach Matt down there at Malvern. Wish nothing but the best for them. Now we're going to jump into what everyone thought was kind of the game of the week in Stark County. Massillon, tough week 1 loss to probably the best team in the state, Moeller, takes on a GlenOak squad that put up a 50-burger the week before.
Pity.
Everyone's really excited about GlenOak. They're back, they're talented, they've got the firepower now, and as me and you talked about last week, let's pump the brakes a little bit because this Massillon squad is really good still.
Yes, they certainly are. Anytime you got a back with the quality that Hartson is, he's a 10 offer kid, Division I kid, coming off that high ankle sprain last year that cost him 7 or 8 games, I believe. The game started out, Massillon got the ball to start. They methodically moved it down the field. I believe it was 5 or 6 runs, mostly going over the left side of the offensive line, chewing up big yards, 5 or 6 play drive, bang, they're up 7-0 before GlenOak knows what planet they're on. Fast forward, they kick the ball off. They kind of drop a pooch kick into the dead spot of the kick return team. Massillon was able to recover it. They took the ball down inside the 5-yard line once again. GlenOak's defense was playing hard. They forced a turnover in the red zone, and really, GlenOak hung in there in the first half, Drew. Some of my takeaways from the game is the Burke kids can flat out play.
They're talented.
They're talented. They're fast. They're quick. They run the ball well. I like some of the creativity stuff that they were doing on offense. It wasn't so much, pound the ball on first down, pound the ball on second down, throw the ball on third down. They mixed it up. They ran some screens. It was 14-0 at halftime, and then in the second half, the wheels kind of came off, and Massillon started locking them down a little bit. They started bringing blitzes from everywhere, Drew. They were bringing the corner blitz when the ball was into the hash or left middle, right middle. They were locking down defensively. Avante didn't have a lot of time. The defensive line did a great job of getting up into the backfield, which forced him to scramble a little bit. He was trying to do too much at certain times, being a young quarterback, being a
Milk's
sophomore.
really a young kid.
And he's just trying to do too much right now. Sometimes the best plays that you make are the ones that you don't try to make. There was a couple times on first down where he took sacks. There's two things that you need to know on every single play when you're throwing the ball as a quarterback. Very simply. Where's my check down and where's my throwaway? And when the shit hits the fan, it's not, here's my primary, here's my secondary. You start moving or scrambling or evading in the pocket, your eyes need to get to the back who's running that arrow route. Even if I don't complete it, just throw it at his feet. Don't take the sack. Don't play behind the chains. Young kid having a lot of success after week one with what he did with his legs. Just has to relax a little bit, make plays when they're there, and not try to do too much.
Yeah, and at 35-7, I think I was telling my wife this. We were talking about this because she's a big high school football fan now. She comes to our games and stuff, and she had Adrian and Avante Burt when she was teaching at St. Thomas. And, she was disappointed that they lost. And I said, this game says a lot more about Massillon than it does about GlenOak. Sometimes it doesn't matter what Coach Garcia's doing. It doesn't matter what Coach Rennie Wilson's doing, what Coach Mike Cook's doing for GlenOak. Sometimes, Massillon's just the better team. And the better team won.
The one thing that GlenOak did very well in the first game against Shaker was they had very few penalties. I believe they had 4 total for the first game. In the third quarter alone, I believe they had, or first quarter alone, I can't remember which quarter it was, but they had 4 penalties. Taking sacks, playing behind the chains, penalties at tough times, turning the ball over, and some of the sacks that he took was when he was backed up. And our goal as a quarterback and the offense is, if you are backed up, to at least try to get the ball to the 35-yard line. Obviously, we want to score in every possession, but that's not realistic.
Flip the field position.
Exactly. You got to flip field position, and playing in GlenOak Stadium, that wind is always blowing.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah.
So with the wind blowing, not having success, being pinned back, punt the ball inside your own 5-yard line, then you got guys like Liebler and guys returning punts, Lennox. You give a team like that with a running back, Hartson, only 40 yards or 50 yards to go to score, it makes it awful tough on your defense. The defense, though, they were flying around. Coach Rennie Wilson said, he goes, we're pretty good right now. He goes, but honestly, Jim, he goes, I think we're about a year away. But you can see how much harder the kids are playing. There was a huge emphasis in the offseason with the weight program.
Yep.
I believe there was 25 guys now that are benching over 225. Previous to that, there might have been under 10. So a commitment to the weight room. Coach Garcia
bringing back the toughness.
Bringing back the toughness. Being a GlenOak guy. Being from the area. Getting back into the youth program, trying to establish the program and get the numbers back again. GlenOak, and the Federal League is wide open this year. It's crazy, and we'll get to it. But GlenOak is going to be a team.
They're going to win games.
They are going to win games, and they're not only going to win, and if they do lose, they're going to compete. This was just a team that was better.
Absolutely,
as you said.
Yeah. So Massillon back on track in the win column, which is important for them. I think they're going to go down and beat a good Mansfield team this week.
Be a good ball game.
Mansfield, very talented. GlenOak, really tough matchup because Austintown Fitch is a really good football team. They just beat the brakes off McKinley. Hate to say it, but they did. They beat the brakes off McKinley. And that game won't tell us about GlenOak either. They're still a young team. They're going to learn, from their mistakes. The coach staff will get things together. And by the end of the season, this GlenOak team is going to look much different than they do right now.
I agree.
Another Federal League game we talked about last week. Coach Jay Rohr, 1-0, best winning percentage in the history of high school football. Lost. Now he's down to 500. It happens. It happens to the best of us. I was there too, Jay. 48-10 loss to Mayfield. Jackson, tough back and forth opener, found a way to win, showed a lot of grit. I didn't get to see much of this game against Mayfield, but one thing that Jackson's going to have to fix, like we talked about Central earlier, in the last 6 quarters for Jackson, they've allowed 75 points.
The problem for Jackson is a couple things. Ben Hozapa, one of the best linebackers in Stark County, is still out with a knee injury. Not sure when he's going to return. So you take one of the best linebackers out. Jackson started the season after the preseason playing at 3-3. First week of the season, they kind of realized that they may not have the linebackers to play that, so they're going to take them out and basically play with a nickel personnel, which is 5 defensive back safety type players. So they changed from a 3-3 to a 4-2 week 1. They find a way to win. However, watching the East game, especially in the third and fourth quarter, they were exposed with the deep balls in the slots. They are struggling big time covering the pass right now. That's what happened when they went up to Mayfield, Drew. Mayfield found a way to just keep stretching the defense vertically, and they had a lot of big plays. Jackson's going to have to figure out a way to create pressure, or if they don't have the safeties or corners, then make the team methodically move the ball down the field and very simply play cover 4. Get your corners out of there, get your safeties out of there, try and keep it in front of you, not give up the big play. That's what happened last week. Tough road loss for Jackson, and I hate to say this because it's week 3, but with the way that the schedule's shaping up for Jackson, this Boardman team is down. They're not very good. This is a must-win for the Polar Bears because in week 4 they come back with Green, and then they go.
Who can throw the ball?
Who can throw the ball? 444 yards in the second start. After Lake, after Green, they got to go play Lake at Lake, and Lake is playing at an extremely high level right now. Must win for the Polar Bears this week.
Yep, one more Federal League score. Hoover goes down at Mansfield. It was a closer game than what the score appeared till the end there. Mansfield beats Hoover 42-9. We talked about it. Hoover's kind of in a rebuilding mode. Had to replace a ton of players from last year's Federal League championship team. And Mansfield's, they're 3 years removed from being in a state championship game. Really tough trip to make down there.
Coach Jokey Bradley does such a great job with that program. I mean, they're athletic. I've worked with some of their quarterbacks at Ballard Quarterback Academy, Drew. They just get up in your face, just like Fitch does. And this is what McKinley's going to face. They're going to get up in your face. They're going to blitz, and they're going to play man, and they are going to force you to beat them deep until. And if you don't, they're still going to line up, and they're going to beat the snot out of your wideouts, and they're going to bring a lot of blitzes and force you to beat them with the pass.
Yeah. Green, 51-41 winners over North Olmsted. Green still putting crooked numbers on the scoreboard. They're 2-0. Perry on Sunday at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium played not your typical Canadian team.
Not a walk in the park. Not a hey, we're going to probably get about a quarter and a half in. We'll ball cap it up.
Yeah.
Watch some of the younger guys get experience. This is a very good Canadian team. You told me about them after playing Hoban, talking to your good friend Tim Tyrell. He said they got some guys that are for real. They got 19-year-old kids that are basically in the red shirt re-recruit.
The one receiver.
Reclassifying, if you will.
Yeah, so they have a defensive end that's going to Virginia Tech, Clarkson North. They beat Perry 26-20. They've got a receiver who is one of those fifth-year kids that has a lot of interest from Alabama. He played well in that game. So Coach Zach Slates and his team down to 1-1
right
now.
there. They were right there.
They were. I mean, I don't care who you are. It's tough for high school teams to face wing T teams if you don't see it.
Mirror image of themselves a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But they were there, and Coach Slates I think him and the staff learned a lot last year. Where they played 5 overtime games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things. They got a new transfer quarterback who came in and is doing a nice job. Perry, again, the Federal League is wide open.
Yeah.
Except Lake being on number 1 top.
Yep. So Lake, 35-0 winners over Maple Heights, and we had talked about off air and amongst ourselves here at Stark Media Team. This was the game we were looking at. After the way they took care of Alliance, who's a talented team, we said, okay, Maple Heights is a playoff team from last year. We saw them at the Kempthorne Classic 7-on-7. They won that. Coach Shaq Washington has a prolific offense. They've got a lot of athletes, a lot of speed, some good players up front. Let's see what Lake can do. By the way, Maple Heights only won 72-0 week 1. They come into Hartville and Lake beats them 35-0.
Coach Vescow, phenomenal job with that defense, pitching the shutout.
Yeah.
Goose egg and donuts for the defensive.
At C.H. Vallis & Associates, we've been proudly serving the greater Stark County community for over 78 years. Locally owned, we cover your home, auto, business, and life insurance along with your group benefits. Our partnership with auto owners has allowed us to span not only Ohio, but throughout the entire country. Did you know that Auto Owners, an A++ rated company by AM Best and a Fortune 500 company, has ranked C.H. Vallis & Associates a top 10 insurance agency in the state of Ohio? From your basic home and auto needs to insuring some of the largest companies in America, there's a reason people choose C.H. Vallis & Associates and Auto Owners. Our dedication and passion for our clients and their coverage is part of our commitment to excellence. For all your insurance coverage needs, there's only one call to make, and that's C.H. Vallis & Associates, located at 1302 South Main Street in North Canton. Contact us at 330-494-2776 today and see the difference in customer satisfaction.
Outstanding job. I mean, as you said, Shaq Washington's offense throwing up a 70. That's 2 burgers, maybe a double burger, triple burger. I don't know what that goes to, but 70 points in the game. We saw the athleticism over the summer at the Kempthorne Classic when we covered it. My buddy Aaron Bubonics, younger brother of Eddie Bubonics, has been running that defense since Shaq Washington was a player there when they won the state championship. They are well coached. I was concerned. I was curious because of the way that Lake did handle Alliance Week 1. So this is a different team, and all they did was pitch the shutout. Shout out to Coach Viscount and that defensive stat. Donuts, zeros for everybody. Great job. Offensively, though, they got the two-headed monster still going with Cale Jarvis, who was perfect on the day. Will Butler was 2 for 2. Will Butler in 2 games, split in series, accounted for 6 touchdowns. Not to mention what he does as a strong side linebacker. Still have Solberger making plays out of the backfield, one of the better running backs in the Federal League. And the crazy thing about what Lake's doing right now, their number 1 guy, Ty Miller, who plays on both sides of the ball, has not played a snap yet. It's scary. Those young wideouts, Sedmock and some of those.
They're fast. They can run.
They're fast. They made plays. The post route, or I'm sorry, the play that Butler made rolling to his left last week when they're down 7-0 on 4th and 8.
In the end zone.
In the end zone. Sedmock comes from the backside. Butler turns his shoulders. Sed goes down and slides and makes the catch. Huge play in that game, which really kind of flipped the momentum.
Week 1 versus Alliance.
And now they win on the road at Alliance. They come back home, completely take care of business against Maple Heights, pitch the shutout, Lake 2-0, playing extremely well.
Yeah, I really like this. You know, the Lake's speed has impressed me, and that's something, you know, we knew they were going to be physical. We knew that they had the guys up front. We knew that they could run the football. We knew they had good players at quarterback. But I wanted to see if they could play with a team as fast as Maple Heights, and they did. Now for Coach DeGeorge, you're 2-0. You've got to keep everyone healthy. You have to keep getting better, and you got to make sure that those blue streaks don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Just got to keep the nose down and keep grinding.
Keep working. Keep working, keep working, keep working. And if they continue to do that, work like they did in the offseason to get to this point, Lake's really going to have a special season. Jeff Tyler and myself will be up at Lake this week as they take on Akron East on our YouTube stream game of the week on Stark Media YouTube stream. You know, if you guys are just after your game, need to tune into someplace, you can get it on your phone. You know, we try to do our best, just like TJ and Jim do, is giving you scores as they happen. We've got our phones right in front of us when we're calling the games. We've got updates from all the games. So, you know, if you're on the road, if you can't get one of our stations, 99.7 or 106.9, get on the YouTube stream. We're always updating scores, you know, as we're calling that game. Last game we'll talk about this week, McKinley. Disappointing week 1. Probably better than Menor. They're probably more talented than Menor. Went up there, lost. Play a really good Austintown Fitch team week 2, which is not an easy place to play up in Austintown. The officiating's never great. McKinley had a touchdown called back in this one, which I didn't see where the penalty was. But Jeff and I were doing our game at Louisville, and all of a sudden we get a text, 21-0 Fitch. Halfway through the first quarter, and we were like, what the hell is going on? That can't be right.
Same thing.
And then 2 minutes later, it's 28-0 Fitch.
3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And 5 offensive plays. And Coach Parker, I had a chance to spend some time with him him and his staff this offseason, started working with some of their quarterbacks to work to camp up there. What a great staff. What a great staff. They're doing it the right way. They really like each other. They got some young coaches with some fire in their belly, trying to do it a little bit different. But, man, do they have some athletes.
And you know, from linebacker all the way to the defensive backfield, I was talking to Kent McClellan, who was at the game. You know, I watched the replay of the game on the internet, and we were talking, you know, Kent's with the Bulldog 100 Booster Club there at McKinley. They have clones. They're all 6 foot, 200 pounds.
All
corner, safety, linebacker. They're physical. So to start the game, Fitch throws a double pass. You know, McKinley, I think 3 and out. They might have had 1 first down on the first possession, but you know, they do a double pass on the first play of the game. Hey, hats off. Great job, coach. Great game plan. But then the second drive, they get the ball back on the first play, and they're in a 2-by-1 set with the fullback and running back in the backfield. Now that fullback was kind of straddling the outside leg of the tackle, kind of made him look like a wing there. So McKinley walks the outside linebacker in their 3-4 defense to his outside shoulder. They have a safety 12 yards deep over the slot receiver, and the corner is wide. Great spacing.
All you
Great
gotta do is
spacing by
run a
Fitch.
little walk off.
So all they did, exactly what they did, is the running backs fake the run, quarterback turn through the right now, or the rip, like we like to call it. You know, we did a lot at St. Thomas when we were there. We did a lot at Hoban when we were there. It's just getting your athletes to the ball right now in space.
It's a long handoff, is all it is.
It's exactly what it was.
It's taking the place of the run game as opposed to turning and handing it off. You make the quick fake. You freeze the linebacker's feet. You got the safety over top the slot. He walks off. He can run a bubble. But you hit that dead spot in between the safety and where the corner lines up. It's all day. If you want to try to squeeze the run game with the inside line or outside linebacker over the slot, then you have a big dead space between him and the safety. And quarterbacks need to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And when you can, I get giddy when I see it on film. They just keep walking down, just keep pounding the flat, then get the guy to walk out over top the slant. Then you can start. You got one less guy in the box, and you start pounding the rock back up.
That's exactly what it does. Is it gives you leverage in the box. You're leveraging the box by throwing that out there. They threw it out. He went 60 yards for a touchdown. 2 offensive plays, 2 touchdowns for Fitch. But when you do that, so you're playing a 3-4 team or a 50 team, something that likes to have that guy kind of float inside, play inside the box, but also able to get to the flats, it puts him in a really tough position. Because like you said, now they've got to respect that, and it opens up the running game for Fitch. The other thing for McKinley that I saw in this game, a lot of missed tackles. A lot of missed tackles, especially in the secondary, on the goal line. You know, when Fitch was down in the red zone, you need those guys. You know, a goal line tackle is different from an open field tackle. Sure. You need to come in there, be the hammer, show some force. And I saw a lot of guys reaching. So McKinley, you know, they need to get things together. Keaton Rohde was not sharp. He was sailing a lot of passes in the first quarter on slants and those types of things. McKinley's an 0-2 football team right now that probably should be 1-1. Fitch is a very good team, but I don't think, you know, anyone that Canton McKinley in the state has enough talent that they should be up 28-0 in half a quarter on Canton McKinley.
I agree with you. And reading the article, Coach Hall took a lot of that himself.
And that's who he is.
He was a player first, so it's a little different when you played, especially at the level that Antonio did. There's more accountability, I think.
Absolutely.
And, you know, when you get beat like that, you know, he said it. I got to get better coaching. We have to get better as a staff. I didn't do a good enough job preparing my players for Friday night. He's taken ownership of it. You know, he's working hard at it. He's got a great support system around him. Coach McDaniels is a mentor to him when he needs him. You got Coach Bardewell, who's a great offensive coach.
Chad Anderson,
who you've known for a long time. They've got a great staff. They're going to figure it out. And there's offensively, some of the stuff isn't figuring out what we can do. It's just simply we have to execute.
Absolutely.
It's there.
Absolutely.
The play that I'm calling is there. If the quarterback doesn't hit a guy on a slant when he's wide open, it's not the coach's fault.
Yeah, those plays are designed to work. They're not designed to fail. Yeah.
And when you have opportunities to make plays as a quarterback, especially on the higher percentage throws, such as the layups, like the bubble screens, like the spot routes and stuff like that, slant's a little bit higher degree of a throw, but you still gotta be able to execute the quick game before you start running the deep overs and the play action and the 15 back to 12 comeback. They just need a little more consistency, a little more accuracy from Keaton Rhodey, because they do have athletes and guys that can make plays in space. And as you were saying, McKinley didn't make a lot of tackles on defense. When you have a safety that's 10 yards off and you throw the ball to basically a running back or a slot receiver with a lot of quicks, that guy has to come down, break down, and make a tackle. That's hard to do, which is why I pound in my quarterback's head all the time. Just get the ball out of your hand, force the defense to make plays, not you trying to drop back, hold it, and hit all the big plays over the top. Guys now, if you do get good spacing, spaces are bigger, the area where the guys have to cover is bigger, and it's harder to tackle guys in space.
And, from a defensive perspective, that's something you can practice, and it's not something that all teams are able to emulate in practice, to throwing the ball to a guy that athletic and forcing your guys. McKinley has that ability.
All the time, they have home run hitters.
They
Every
have
single time could be a home run.
They have the ability to throw that to that type of guy on in practice and have the defender come down and do that open field tackling drill. I mean, I'll face it. When I was head coach at Triway, we probably had one or two kids that I would consider really fast. We couldn't emulate that speed in practice. McKinley has the ability to do that. I think what it is for McKinley is they have a great big picture philosophy on offense, on defense. Coach Antonio Hall is a very good, head coach, I believe. I think he's great for the McKinley program. They need to do the little things. Spend more time in individual this week with their position coaches. Work on tackling.
The basics.
Work on blocking.
The fundamental stuff.
Yes, working on the fundamentals of football, where the big picture doesn't come together if you don't do those little things first. It's like a puzzle.
It's like
The big picture is the puzzle. The little picture is that individual person doing, their job.
You do the little things, right? You do this little thing like we're supposed to. This guy does this little thing. The quarterback does this little thing. The wide receivers take good splits. We don't turn the ball over. We don't have a lot of penalties. You're taking care of all the little things that ultimately take care of the big thing. And right now for McKinley, it's hitting open receivers more consistently, and it's just simply making tackles when they have the opportunity to make tackles. Absolutely.
So McKinley will be at home for the first time this year over at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. That game will be on Rock 106.9 with Sam Berkwin and Jeff Shreve. Like we've said before, you and TJ will be down in Canal Fulton. Louisville will try to get that offense back together against a well-coached Northwest team who's 2-0. Louisville desperately needs a win. Northwest needs to stay the course before they get into their PAC league play.
You can't tell me this one doesn't mean just a little bit more to Coach DeMarco. It's like the Baker thing, right?
Yeah.
If however the circumstances end up where you're not with another team, Baker already said it.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna you up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Coach DeMarco will never come out and say that, but if you don't think he's out to prove a point,
absolutely,
and to win at home in front of these fans and let the Louisville people know you guys made a mistake, and he's probably past it, but it's still there.
Absolutely.
He was there for a long time. He was such a great mentor. I've had a great relationship with him for a long time. I worked with his quarterbacks all the way back to Joey Duckworth, Brody Hahn, who just finished up a year in France, Jake Adams, who had a great career at W&J, Colton Jones, who started for Mike Sirianni up there now. He did an outstanding job with the time that he was there. Already made a huge impact in his first couple of years at Northwest. Went to the playoffs, had a great run a few years ago. Last year a little down. This year having a tough offseason with adversity, trying to figure out who's going to be my quarterback. And all he's done is put that aside, let the whispers keep talking. They're 2-0. They're playing Louisville on Friday night, and I'm excited to cover that game.
Yeah, it should be great. And that'll be on 99.7 FM. And like we said before, Jeff Tyler and myself will be out in Hartville at Lake hosting Akron East. Thanks for your time this week. We're open to feedback. You want to say, hey, you guys are assholes, we don't like you, that's fine too. Reach out and let us know.
Keep tuning in though.
Yeah, keep
tuning in.
We will be
entertaining
share
and honest, and we will break it down with what we see and how we see it. Obviously, I've been running the Quarterback Academy since 2007. I break film down with quarterbacks all the time. It's real easy for us to sit up here and talk and maybe not know all the intricacies, spit that one out, in the offense, as we said, but we can look at little things and just say, hey, this needs fixed. It's spacing, it's quarterback getting downhill. These aren't harsh criticisms. This is just what needs to be done when you run this kind of offense.
Just the facts.
Just the facts. No
So
fluff.
That's what we said. No fluff. When we did the show, no fluff, no bullshit. It's not gonna be, oh, hey, how nice it is to coach this kid. Well, yeah, they're all great kids. They're all great
And
kids.
kids don't want to make mistakes.
Yeah.
They're not
So-
trying to make mistakes.
Yep.
We're just pointing out stuff that can help them get better.
Absolutely. So follow us on all the socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So subscribe to our YouTube page so you get alerts when all this stuff hits YouTube. It's free. Good luck to all the teams, to all the coaches. Hope everyone stays healthy. Hope everyone get out to a game on Friday night. This is the best time of year. Fall's starting to come around. These stadiums look beautiful. Nothing better than a football Friday night. Everybody have a great week.